What's going on, everybody? Marky Shaw back here for part 2 of the Compaq Deskpro 386s. I managed to get a couple upgrades for this on eBay. One I'm happy about, one I'm sad about. Starting with this awesome little Sound Blaster card I got. Now, it's not the original Sound Blaster 16 card like I hoped, but to be honest with you, those original ones, they cost like 75 bucks at the cheap end, and then up to 150 in the high end. But this is the Vibra XV card. They basically just put a cheaper synthesizer chip on it, and it sounds okay. It's not as good as like a Roland or a good Yamaha, but this is going to do. It's a heck of a lot better than the PC speaker. It actually has some decent bass sound to it as well, which I like. I'll show you guys and demonstrate that for you here in a little bit. And for $14, you can't go wrong. Next up here is the 387 Math Code processor. I was really excited to get this thing in the mail. However, it is a little unfortunate that the pins on the bottom of this do not match up with the socket on the motherboard. I don't know if that's because this is a DX chip and I have an SX chip on the computer now. As you can see here, there are some differences between the 387DX and the 387SX. But to be honest with you, I've seen models with both types of pins on the bottom, regardless of it being DX or SX. So be curious if anybody out there can confirm what the differences between these FPUs are. As far as I'm concerned, the eBay seller, he told me that this would work with any 386, regardless of it being DX or SX, as long as it was between 16 and 33 megahertz. So I figured for sure this would be compatible, but the pictures did not show the pins. So just look out really carefully for that if you're buying a math code processor. I'm gonna go ahead and take everything apart for you guys since we never got a chance to look at the rest of the computer. I did find out some interesting information about the memory expansion board. This, I think it's a 32-bit ISA card. You can see here, here's a listing for a 1 megabyte card, $75. Holy crap, man. I have 2 megs in here already. That's a 1 meg card that I just showed you. I have 1 megabyte on the board as well. And here is the hard drive. This is a 40 megabyte Connor hard drive. It does use an IDE interface, but what's interesting about this is that the pin layout is slightly different than a modern IDE interface. This is an old revision, an old standard of IDE. It's not compatible with modern IDE cables. There is a pin that's switched around in the cable, so make sure you save your original cable. A new one definitely will not work. I learned about it through this website, modelrail.otenko.com. This guy has restored a Compaq Deskpro very similar to the one I have. It's a slightly smaller form factor, but I learned a lot from his blog, and they share very similar components. Actually, everything is pretty much the same on the computer, so definitely a good resource for helping me through this little upgrade process and learning about the Compaq. We'll get that cage out of here, and now you can see the rest of the computer. I think this is the onboard memory that I was talking about earlier. What's interesting about this is that when I look up the model numbers, it comes up as printer memory. Probably because it's made by Oki Data, but I can't confirm that. When I look at what the Compaq chip is over here, to the right, the large Compaq chip, that looked to be like some kind of printer controller too. But fact of the matter is, it's hard to find information online about some of these older chips. The resources just aren't there anymore. Other products might even share the same model number these days. So I'm not sure what the heck this is. We have another ROM chip over here. I believe this is one of the BIOS chips. And off to the middle there is the Dallas real-time clock. Interesting about that, the same website, Model Rail website I was talking about, actually discusses this. You can swap this RTC out for a CR2032. You're going to have to get a special connector. You're going to have to solder it onto the board and take this thing out of there. There's probably even some other steps involved too, but that's actually a really worthwhile upgrade because these Dallas RTC chips, you can only find old ones and they might not even still have a charge in them. So they could totally be worthless if you find them online these days. You're not going to find a brand new one. So it's definitely best to look at alternatives and use that CR2032 method. Here's a bunch of other pretty chips, including this little foxy thing right here. And interestingly enough, that little chip right above or right beneath the ISA slot, it's upside down in this image, but that is the processor. That is the CPU itself. It's totally soldered onto this motherboard. That's a little sad. You can't change this thing out. You can't swap it around. You can't upgrade it. It's stuck with that processor forever. So the only thing you can do is get that FPU, the math code processor, as the only upgrade you could probably do besides upgrading the RAM in this thing. As you can see, here's the 387, and it does not have the same pin layout. All right, we'll go ahead and put in that brand new Sound Blaster Vibra XV. Pay close attention to how the cables are routed in your system as well. Make sure you follow the same routes as you did before it was disassembled. I had all sorts of troubles. The cage for the hard drive and the floppy drive just didn't quite seat down right. After a little finagling, we got it to seat down just fine, so just be careful when putting everything back together. Alright guys, we're just about there now. I was thinking I might paint this case one day. Maybe just go straight black or do something neat with it. It is a little scratched up on the top, but I thought it would be fun. I do have some cracks on the plastic as well. So I was thinking maybe just putting some epoxy on there and cleaning it up. Alright, so now I wanted to show you guys something that's a little unique here. One of the challenges with working with retro computers is getting files to them. You can use floppy disks, you can use compact flash readers that hook onto the IDE interface of the old computer. I don't have a compact flash reader. I don't have a SD card reader for any of these types of old interfaces, so I'm using a phone line simulator. This actually allows me to take two computers with a modem inside them and make a traditional dial-up connection, just like you would back in the day. I would use the same type of system to dial up to my friend. I would actually dial his phone number from my computer and we would chat back and forth using a terminal program. In my case, I always use Telex, but this is my Windows 98 computer that's running Hyperterminal. I have a few files stored on that computer that I'm going to transfer over to the 386 over a good old dial-up connection. And it works pretty flawlessly, to be honest with you. I know not everybody has one of these things lying around, but you can find some phone line simulators on Amazon, some cheaper ones. But this is really meant for a phone guy that maybe worked for Verizon back in the day and wants to test out whether or not phones are working. It's definitely more of a tool, but now I can actually use one of these old tools to send files back and forth to my retro computers. And you can find USB modems really cheap these days. Let's go ahead and boot this thing up now and get the sound card all set up. There's a couple things you should know about the sound card process. Because this is one of those Vibra cards, the process is a little different than a standard Sound Blaster original. You have to get the Creative Plug and Play Manager installed first. That's this CTCM directory. The Creative Plug and Play Configuration Manager. Since MS-DOS does not have plug-and-play support, by default, you have to use one of these little configuration managers to detect that new type of card. Once you have the configuration manager all set up and ready to go, you can then install the Sound Blaster Vibra drivers. You can even use the original Sound Blaster suite of software. We're going to play around with that here later. But just for educational purposes, I'd like to show you guys the Auto Exec bat. You can see how that looks in here. Get your old set blaster lines in there and you're good to go. You can see it's loading the plug and play configuration manager as well. And there's my huge cat, Hudson. He is a beast. Weighs about 25 pounds. And just for fun, here's the config.sys file. Nothing fancy in here, it just loads the configuration manager again. Alright, now I'm eager to hear how the sound card actually sounds. We're going to test it out with Prince of Persia first. If you remember in part 1, we just used the PC speaker, which still sounded pretty cool. I love that old classic sound, but this should be a much needed upgrade, so let's see what we got. Man, what a difference that is already. It's just so much better than having standard PC speaker sound. That was totally worth the upgrade. 14 bucks. I know it's not the original Sound Blaster card, but I don't have 75 to 150 bucks to spend on an old 386. So that $14 upgrade, definitely worth it. If you're an audiophile, it might not be the best solution for you. You're probably going to get ticked off a little bit at the MIDI instruments in there. They don't sound exactly as good as like a Roland or, a fancy Yamaha. So just keep that in mind. Let's try out Wolfenstein 3D as well. And as you can see, it sounds pretty good too. This is perfect. Daggone right, I'm going to change this screen size as big as it'll go, because Wolf 3D runs great on this thing. Killing some Nazis. And here is my dear friend, Dr. Spatzo. He is an artificially intelligent psychologist that provides very insightful information when you need help the most.
Dr. Spatzo, my creative ones. Please enter your name now. M-R-K-Y. Hello, Marky. My name is Dr. Spatzo. I am here to help you. Please say whatever is in your mind freely. Our conversation will be kept in high confidence. Memory contents will be wiped off after you leave. So, tell me about your problems. Do you think machines have something to do with your problem? Since you are so positive, why do you complain? Tell me your problems, don't ask me about. What does that suggest to you? I'm not sure I understand you. This is getting boring. Just now were you talking about computers?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Spatzel. That was very helpful. Sometimes you can go on and on with this guy if you talk with him just the right way. And now the moment I've been waiting for, being able to play some of these sweet MIDI sounds here in Windows 3.1. All right, everybody. Well, that finishes up part 2 of the Compaq Deskpro 386s. Overall, I'm happy with the sound card upgrade. I am saddened about the 387. Maybe one day I'll try it again, but I just think I'm cursed with the 387. I never could get one back in the day, and I don't think the world's going to let me get one this time, but maybe I'll try it again. For now, I've spent enough time on this project. There's so many other things I want to cover and hardly any time to do all of it, but definitely stay tuned. I'll have some new Raspberry Pi videos coming up soon. I've had some great ideas from all my awesome viewers out there, so thanks to them for helping me continue to do this and give me new ideas. It's really helpful. Also, we'll be doing some more retro computer videos. I have some friends from out of town that are interested in helping out the computer museum, so hopefully we'll have some updates on that too. I got some new music in the works as well. Tons of stuff going on these days. Also, I just reached 500 subscribers here on YouTube. I think I'm at like 504 at the time of this video, and man, that's pretty awesome. I have folks from India, Pakistan, Mexico, Russia, all over the place, and that's just awesome. So here's to 500. Let's go ahead and get another 500 more. We'll keep on going from there, guys. Thank you so much again for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
I've got myself